Brother Sean and Brother Boon just joined. Greetings, fellas.
Hey, bro.
Hey,
Greetings.
everybody.
We were just chatting about how the judge outsourced a lot of the stuff they do. Just chit chatting. What did you have on the mind today, Brother Boone? Did you want to delve more into the personal experience, or did you have something particular that's burning?
Yeah. Oh, look, there's many parts to the thing, so I guess it's just going to be a bit fluid. That's all.
Okay.
So we'll just kind of go with this sort of flow of things. We're maybe the callers or wherever one's at really, because So I don't know. Yeah, it depends on.
Yeah, for sure, brother.
Depends on.
Yeah.
Like I look
Go
at
ahead.
some of the stuff that is sent. Sometimes, there's so much, so much bloody shit that people put on these forums. You wonder. It's kind of like we seem to have a love for just bullshit rather than just kind of scrutinising everything. I don't know why it's like that, but it seems to be very strange. Like you said, the judge outsources it because what is he to do with all that information? It's so much information that comes out of people. It's just unbelievable. Like once you start analysing it and start looking at it, you're like, well, first of all, know its source. Where's it from? Did you meet the one who is the so-called alleged author of that information? Have you met them? And how do you really know what you're saying or what you're trying to preach or what someone's trying to preach? So I guess it's always examining. That's the work, really. That's why there's who do you work for comes back to, if you're examining something, it's because imagine that was a muscle put into each individual to examine the assumptions. Has anyone actually figured out why everything's an assumption?
No. Why is everything an assumption? Why are they allowed to go off presumptions and assumptions?
Well, it's because the mind has become idle. Yeah. And if you start listening and start looking and start seeing that, how come every single thing's an assumption? It's like that song, It's a Sin. That Pet Shop Boys song? You need to listen to the lyrics. Everything's a sin. Yeah? Yeah, just look at the lyrics. The lyrics are always the best way to sort of help grasp or understand what we're actually doing. And when you start seeing the assumption and presumptions that are everywhere, right, you start realising that the assumption comes back to that we're only assuming that we know about the knowledge we're talking about, because this knowledge that anyone's talking about, it's not their knowledge. Each one wants to perhaps lay claim that they think they know that knowledge, but who can authenticate the origins of the so-called knowledge that's coming out of people's thoughts, whether it be out of the mouth or sending a text on the phone? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Are we saying that it's because man knows nothing?
well, what can he prove he actually knows? It's actually if there's an only force on the planet that knows, it's the Almighty. And I'm going to keep bringing that up because for some reason we just don't want to hear about that. The little devil in us just likes to think it knows better and more than the actual designer, the maker, the father, the possessor. And God, they're all terms, they're all words. Yes, they are. But for the sake of communication, how does a message come across? Yeah. How do you pass a message on where you start looking at these things? You know, the assumption basically means you can't prove you are the owner of it, of this information, of this term, this word. Because if you keep going back to John 1, I'm going to just keep bringing, every time we do a call, I'm going to just go back to the scripture of John chapter 1. And I think that should be paramount for everyone to just have that, you know, drummed into their head. Whose word is it?
Is it all the possessors?
Wow. It may be a start. Yeah. It may be the start where we start to consider these things. Send a lot of stuff, but like for example, there's a lot of clips, and the first thing, oh, there was a clip. Hang on, where was it? Oh yeah, there's one, and you know, it's this. An individual sends this thing about the peaceful inhabitant, and the first thing that comes up is take responsibility, right? So
Yeah, I saw that.
once you see, it just happens every time some arsehole sends an offer, right? Yeah, I'm going to send plenty of offers, but hopefully if I send you an offer, it's yes, I'm an arsehole. Who's going to deny that? But hey, but open the mind up. See if there's an opportunity to there's something in there. Why is that offer there? You know, are we just going to go over it and miss it? Because every time you miss an offer, you miss an opportunity to bring it back, bring all terms, all things into subjection to the Maker, the Father. For example, here it says take responsibility, right? Nice and simple. So that's basically say if I'm going to meditate on that, I look at that and go, all right, you're taking terminology, right? Once you take terminology for your own, it becomes your life, right? And then once it becomes your life, it's doing the reverse of what is stated there. You become the blamer for other circumstances. You go into blame. Another word is for blame is calling people out. Oh, I'm going to call you out and I'm going to be a policeman. You know, me being a policeman is calling things out. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the wrong thing, right? You're calling things out. You're calling it out. Has anyone ever heard this thing? I'm calling it out for you. Anyone heard that? Anyone here?
Yeah,
I,
I'm muted. I got the bed in a second, brother.
I've
Yeah.
definitely heard of people saying, calling you out.
Yeah, calling you out. It's just another way of looking at blame, and someone's being the officer who's you know, telling you from right and wrong. So it's all in there, judgment and blame and whatever. It's rather than, you know, if there is blame, it's a great opportunity. It's a bit like how the allegations come our way. How are we going to deal with an allegation, right? It's because it's linked in with blame. And once you start seeing blame, it comes with the offer of you. Yeah? Anyone ever notice that?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Agreed.
for sure.
Agreed. Blame seems totally useless. Yeah.
Well, it's not useless. It's an incredible resource. How do we align ourselves back with our Almighty Father if we don't start exercising the offers that come before us? And there's about 1,000 offers every day. And what do we do with them? We either react to them. As soon as you go into reaction of an offer, it's just showing you straight away you've missed an opportunity to look into this natural resource. and it just gives you an example how much of the natural resource on the planet is being squandered or denied or being completely wasted. And when you look at it from that perspective, you start looking at the natural world as what man is doing to the natural world. He's squandering the natural environment. He's plundering it and pillaging it and raping it and God knows what else he's doing it, all through one thing, taking it for himself, taking the word, taking everything for himself. And from that point, he creates an absolute disaster of everything. Does that make sense?
I think it definitely makes sense. I guess I would like to see how it is applied.
Well, it applies in the moment. It applies every single moment. You know what surprises me?
I mean, with court, brother. I mean, with court. I agree in the moment.
Yeah. But listen, but the court is the moment. Court is exactly. You see what when you receive these texts such as these peaceful inhabitant things, and you've got take responsibility for your life, blah blah blah. When you've got this doctrine of demons in the head, you're going into court with these doctrines. Do you hear what I'm saying? Or maybe you don't, because these doctrines have filled the fucking head. So how are you going to deal with what's in court when the offer is before you and you haven't been renewing the mind and you haven't been actually exercising outside of court, which is probably court everywhere, that where one is. Court is everywhere, absolutely everywhere. This is court, right? Court, where isn't it? Yeah. So that's why when you start to empty out that trash from between your ears, then when you do go to the so-called court place, you're far better equipped to be able to listen to what the judge is saying. That's pretty much what I'm talking about, and that's why.
Totally agree, brother. I just want to input real fast that the link I believe was shared to show the idiocracy of the peaceful inhabitant way, because there was a brother talking about being a peaceful inhabitant. So the video was shared to show the hypocrisy of the mindset of claiming things yet trying to be peaceful.
Well, that's I go. Well, what's peaceful about a peaceful inhabitant? That's just an example of how do you open it up, and question the assumptions of the so-called peaceful inhabitants. Because I remember 30 years ago or 25 years ago, we were talking about peaceful inhabitant, and everybody wanted to be peaceful. But how do you can preach it, but how do you live it? So when I see an offer on the calls here, there's as I said, it's a wealth of a resource. How do I examine that resource outside of court, inside of court? So yeah, that's where I was kind of going with all of that. Anyway. I think there was a lot of stuff people bring up, which is sometimes there's a lot of ramblings going on, and you wonder, if you've still got the same kind of talk rambling on in your mind, for 20 years, and you haven't come out of some kind of a hole and looked around and see what's going on and so forth. That's why you go out into the world, so you can start to interact with it. Interact on it. How can I interact with it where I don't go into combat? How do I navigate it where I don't go into commerce, the transactional commerce? Because that's really all we're doing, is when we start speaking, it becomes commerce, and that's the agents can pretty much do what they will with us, in a sense. Anyway. As far as the other day is concerned, I enjoyed the call. I did want to talk about a couple of the things, And this is, just remember, everything we're talking about, it all, as I said, does it all relate with court? Because it's all comes back to the tongue, yeah? That wagging tongue. You know, it's like this, God seems to be on the tongue of most men, yet is it on their hearts? Yeah? You hear God every day. How many times do you hear God in a day? Like everyone talk about, lots of people talk about God this and, oh God. They might go, oh my God. They might just go God, or they just mention God or whatever. It just shows you, if you're listening for it, it's on the tongue, it's on their tongue. Yet is it on their hearts? And if it's on their hearts, you see the fruits of how they're living. And that's like the living God. If it's true that there's a living God, then how do we live it? How do we actually ask the proper questions? So there you go. Anyway, is there any questions maybe someone would like to ask about some things that might be on their mind?
Sean, Frank, those brothers are on the call so far. Any questions in particular?
What do you think about these justices of the peace, or these lower level, what they want to say are judges?
The justice of the peace. Look, I probably haven't done too much with these sort of people. When you say, "What do you think about it?" What do you mean by that? Like, what's the experience? What do you know about that?
Yeah. Well, I'm told that they are able to sign arrest warrants and are essentially the ones stamping the information that comes into the registry. So they're like the frontline judge, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, if I hear you correctly, what they're doing is they're stamping and signing and doing all that stuff, right? And then they come to the individual or whoever that one wants to call himself. They come out there with a warrant, and then they come there nice and friendly or whatever, and then they leave with you sign that piece of paper. So can you see? There's a lot of parties that they've had something to do with coming to you and putting that signature on the paper and so forth. Have you noticed that? Did you notice that at some stage?
This seemed to be where they skip that. They just basically dealing with like a Form 10 undertaking, which is the police show up and then they place you under arrest and then they release you on this piece of paper and it's a court date. And then
Yeah, but
if you miss,
hang on,
yeah,
slow
yeah,
it there. So they only release you after you do what?
yeah. After you sign the form,
There you go. There you go.
release.
You
Yeah.
know that is really really important to be. If there was something to be aware of, is when the coppers watch what they're doing. It happens so quickly. Here, just sign this. Why is it so automatically for one to just sign it? Anyone there figure that one out?
Often they threaten one with jail if no signing, right? In the
Yeah.
810 situation, is that right, Frank?
Yeah, they say they're going to bring you to court basically right now. So it gets you out of court right now.
Oh,
So
court
if you
sounds
don't
cool
sign
though.
it, they bring you before the court, right?
If you don't sign it, yeah.
Yeah. So that sort of tells me that one doesn't really want to go to court. Is that correct?
For this situation, I was prepared to do that, but the inside cats were outside at the time, so I didn't want them to end up at the SPCA. So unfortunately, I signed it, but I was prepared not to.
Yeah, but it's not a disaster if you sign it. It's all training ground there, boys and girls. Yeah, So there's ways of dealing with the wooden idols. I mean, is there, that big funny character that Dominion put together, the wooden idols? How are you going to deal with the wooden idol when they put it in your hand? What do you think that means?
Like what
want you to worship it.
reaction?
No, yeah, all of that. But what does it mean when they put that into the hands that you've been known to use? What does it mean when the paper comes in when they put a piece of paper into the hands? What does it mean? What does that mean?
Service.
Service?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm serving you what?
I think it came from an officer, it'd be an offer.
Okay, so it's an offer. I'm serving you an offer. Keep going. What are they doing? Mind you, what I'm asking you, it's all on the paperwork. they don't conceal anything. It's all revealed in front of you. But who's
Yeah.
paying attention?
Yeah.
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 So
So they're offering a belief. Is what the paperwork will say.
well, there's only one game in this town, and the town is planet Earth, right? And the game is, right? Well, that's why I started this call. Go back up to the assumption of those bananas who send this peaceful inhabitant there, taking responsibility. What's that? What are you doing when they pass you a piece of paper? What are you doing in that moment?
Right. Yes. It would be considered taking, and in their yeah in their
Unbelievable. Yeah, but listen, this is so subtle. It's happening right between your eyeballs. You need to start to see, what did you do? Yeah, this is it. What did I do? And even if you did it 100 times, you took that thing. It doesn't matter, but because it may need 100 times for you to see what you're doing by taking is now there's consequences to that. So the consequences could be, follow me, you go to jail, you do this, you do that, you got to follow the paperwork everywhere. There's an obligation for you to attend, community work or whatever if you've been, charged with certain things or blah blah blah. So you've just spelled it out. And I'll ask you if you can repeat it or if you remembered what you just said. When that piece of paper comes by and lands in those hands that you've been known to use.
I would have been taking it.
Aha. Is that so hard to for everyone to see what happens in that moment? What can anyone? You might have to just spell it out in big words. What am I doing? Oh, I just took something. Now, once you took it, was it yours to take?
Definitely not.
Well, if it wasn't yours to take, right? So if there's a warning, anything you say or do can and will be used against you. So if you can't say anything, if you say something, you're damned. If you don't say anything, you're damned. Okay. So you're in a bit of a pickle. So what's left?
Yes.
Be asking. Yeah, that'd be a question. Need to be a question, I guess.
Yeah. Is that the only thing that's permitted in the whole of the universe is to ask? Think about it. Are you saying that if I ask, you mean that's the middle road to reacting or to defending myself, or are you saying that there's another way of actually giving an example of how to be peaceful rather than preaching the so-called peaceful inhabitant garbage? How do I actually interact with the wooden idol, which once they put in your hands is what? Once you take it, what happens?
Well, what they say is that
No,
it was
hang on,
given.
back up.
Okay,
No,
okay,
don't worry
okay.
about what they say. Once it's
Okay.
in your hands, what happens automatically? What happens automatically? Which basically it governs the police in what they do and how they can actually do whatever they want with you. So what I'm asking you, once you take it, what is perfectly clear with them about you?
Acceptance.
Yeah, that's another word for taking. Acceptance, if you look up these words, and that's why the dictionary is very helpful. So once you take these words, once you take this for your own, what happens at that moment, in that very moment? What happens? You become,
Position.
what's that?
A position or a possession becomes.
Okay, well, yeah, you establish a position of possession. If I'm using the words that's coming out of your mouth. Basically, once you take something for your own, in that instant moment, right, you have provided them with enough evidence that they are very sure about who they have in their possession. They have you in their possession and they can leave because they know where you are. They know how to come from the sky and jump on you at any moment notice. Does that make sense?
Yep.
They can turn up at any time, any place, any sort of moment in the deep dream that you are flying around in the universe. They'll find you.
Yep.
Okay. Now that all comes back to once. So this is if you want to sort of put together some kind of because some of the boys they're saying I just want some real examples. I'm fucking sick of this. I'm blah blah blah. Well, hey, is it happening right fucking now? Is it happening right now? Where if once you start seeing if I take something. Once I take something for my own, which is the word, right? The wooden idol, right? The wooden idol is the word. I take it for my own. I become the possessor of all of that is on that piece of paper. Whether you understand it or not, you need to only understand one thing, that you've taken something that don't belong to you. And if you want to go through it, the perfect opportunity is to examine the document, the doctrines. I call it the doctrines of the demons because it's all in there. It's actually there to help you unravel. They call it the prodigal son, right? You go out into the world by taking, and then you start renewing the mind by the very thing that we resist, the very thing that we are defending is the one thing that will show you the road back to the Almighty Father.
Would the closest
But
thing would have
who wants to go there? That's the question.
right. Like what I did is I observed the paper and then I didn't know what else to do other than to ask questions. So I
Hang on.
called
Okay. So
to ask.
before you keep going, when you say observe the paper, be careful when you say, okay, I observe the paper. First of all, what you want to do is when anyone receives that sort of documentation is bring it around table, right? Like these are the great forums where you can sit down and actually go through it. Has anyone figured that one out?
Oh yes, that's a favorite pastime.
Yeah, well, it's not past time, it's present time, because these pieces of paper are showing you now exactly what you did, right? Because it's in the scripture. What's in the scripture is on these documents, right? You need to start linking the scripture in with these documents that are hand delivered to you from these Sanhedrins, police, whatever you want to call them, state troopers, right? And that's how you start unlearning and you start seeing what all of this is about, instead of going to Google or listening to gurus or trying to find a way out of this, because this is not about getting out of something. This is not about getting something. Is it about is it about a way of living in this world? Yeah. And once you start to find this, you start to see this way of living. Do you ever go back to the dog's vomit? Something to consider. So that's why when you receive the document, it says notice in a lot of cases. Notice is all about observation. And once you observe, the eyes perceive itself in a sense that it is its own. So you looking at a document that you know what you're talking about, you have some understanding of what's going on in this paper. So the one way to bring all those terms and terminology is to bring them back subject to the designer, to the maker, to the director, and whatever's on that paper is actually full of it's full of the Father. It's all about His word, and it's all about possession. You've taken possession, you're undertaking, you went off on your own and you did this, this and this. It's actually showing you a way back to the director, to the maker, the creator, whatever you want to call it. Is any of that making sense?
Yeah. Yes.
It is called an undertaking.
That's right. I mean, it makes it.
Oh,
does
you've
make
noticed that,
sense.
yeah? But look, go on.
One thing I'll say is what they did is they pulled a fast one and they decided not to use the paperwork at all and just freestyle it, which was interesting.
Well, hang on a minute. They either give you a piece of paper or they don't, and then they freestyle it and give you a piece of paper. So which is it?
Yeah, they did, but actually both. Yeah.
Both. So they give you they give you the wooden idol. Now that you're in possession, and then they even verify more of who you are by doing the psych evaluation. Correct?
No, it was just one piece of paper, and then I called in and found out that they didn't use that piece of paper. So then I just investigated from there, and it kind of just all started unraveling.
Have you noticed that they don't seem to have much knowledge about anything that they give you? Have you ever figured that out?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So how is it the ones who receive it seem to be in full possession of knowledge of these documents that come from outer space? How is it that the ones who receive it seem to be running around doing all the hard work, calling up the agencies, talking to one operator or one agent person, and then going to the next and to the next? You're running around like a chicken without a head. And when the official is asked about it, do you think he knows anything about what he's given you?
Never.
So if they have no idea about these things, how has it come that that one seems to be so learned in that area? Tell me. Anyone?
What was the question exactly?
Tell me, if it's possible, how is it that the so-called officials have no real idea about the pieces of paper that they're giving you, and yet the one who receives these pieces of paper seems to be doing all the running around, seems to be calling up all the other agencies and investigating this, investigating that, instead of dealing with them right there in the moment. They've just given you a whole lot of go down the rabbit warren and start seeking out all this information so that you can further hang yourself, you can make a better job of yourself later.
instead of
Right.
going to the court right at that moment and never taking the undertaking. Is that what you're saying? Deal with it in the moment.
Well, when you start asking some of these, that's probably why it's all about the living in the moment, because they can't take it. In a lot of cases, they can and they can't. I'm not saying they won't or they will. Preferably, you need to. When I ask, there's been quite a few times when I was driving, and they used to get really grumpy because every time I would speak to them, whether they have a warrant or whatever. Sometimes there was a warrant and they took me to court. Sometimes there was a warrant and they didn't take me to court. Right. So I think it comes back to what you're asking in that moment. You hear me what I'm saying?
Sure. I can see that, brother. It seems like it does
and
go against you sometimes, and they'll just snatch you in. I guess those
Yeah.
are the times.
But doesn't you need not to have fear of going to court,
Oh
because
no.
because this is imagine going to court where the judge doesn't even know why you're there, right? Because there's been no claim made, and the judge doesn't know why you're there because they've, the judge is then looking at the
Hey, brother Boon, you back? You muted if you are. Oh, there you go.
something just happened.
Oh yeah, it totally dropped service for me. Refused to connect, and I think it dropped everybody.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's looks like we're back on. Yeah. All right. Can anyone hear?
Yeah. We were talking about how amazing it is that how little they know about their own paperwork, and how the one receiving it spends all the energy trying to understand it.
Yeah,
Going like a chicken with his head cut off.
they're the fuckers that going around and saying, "Oh, I've got to go there. I'm here and there," and all they do is they don't even need to know what they're giving you, because they know the one who's receiving it, they know everything, and they're going to be doing all the work that testifies against themselves, and their job's done. It's the easiest job in the world is to ask them a few psych evaluation questions, and the claimants or the contradictors or the ones who are in possession of the property, the individuals that they do all the hard work. It's actually madness.
I know. Brother Frank's got some calls where he's asking him questions, and they keep telling him, "Oh, refer to the prosecutor's office for that," or "Well, we don't know how that works. Call the police."
Whoa! As soon as they talk like that, yeah, you're the one jumping through all the hoops. Now, that's why when you reverse things, there's a reverse engineering in all of this. Is what if there was a message to come across, and if it's in your YouTubes and it's out there, you're starting to, when you start examining their question and why are they with you? Why are they there? There's been no formal introduction. They just appeared out of the sky. Did you meet them? Do you know them? Did you ever meet these people before? Do you know them by name? And all the above, you don't even know, yet you're bending over and you're asking for them to give you some intercourse. I mean, it's fucking perfect. It's just the best intercourse you can ever have, and you're doing it with unknown gods. Unknown gods are basically you don't know who they are. They appeared out of the sky, and there they are. They're getting you to jump through all the hoops. And they're going to transact your ass. It's that simple. Anyone hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is probably a very good start to start to see, hang on a moment, Because if you even ask these questions to the coppers, you know, when they say, "Do you understand?" and you go, "Am I to understand by that that one agrees to these terms?" Do you think they're going to put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I do agree"? Sometimes they go, "Yeah, I do agree," and that's when you can go, "Well, is there a signed agreement between you and me on a piece of paper before a judge?" Because you need to understand the engineering of this, right? It's very simple. What was the one thing the coppers needed? They needed from you before they could drive off. What was the one thing they needed?
Signature, an agreement.
Well, there you go. Is this rocket science, guys? Come on, it's happening right in front of us. Are we paying attention?
Trying
Is
to,
anyone
brother.
trying to connect these dots or not? Think about it. What's the one thing they're doing to you? They're doing it to you. Why don't you start asking them the bloody question? They're getting you to sign something, and you guys are just going, "Yeah, I'll get into it. I'll sign it. I love it." You know, it's good fun, right? Now, when you're asking them, you know, do you agree with that? Go to the scripture. You boys are very good at this, and you're helping me out because I can't do this on my own. Who can, right? If I am on my own, find that scripture. Agree with thine adversary. That is King of Kings. You find that scripture. Agree with thine adversary quickly. Don't go into combat. Don't try and explain yourself. Don't try and think you fucking know shit, right? You just agree with them. It's that simple. How do you agree with someone? Anyone figured that one out? Has anyone ever figured how to agree with thine adversary very quickly?
Is it actually agreeing, or is it seeking to agree through understanding what they're saying?
Who understands anything? Especially someone you've
Trying
never
to.
met before. How are you going to tell me or anyone that you understand what an official is trying to say to you who just arrived out of space and landed on top of your head and you're trying to understand them? What kind of fucking psych evaluation does one need to go through at that moment? They need a big one. All right, they just arrived on top of your head, out of space. They just arrived. You don't know where they come from, right? And you're saying you want to understand them. Think about what you're saying.
No, brother. I mean, like, approach it with an open mind, as if one were trying to understand and agree.
The only open mind. Think about this: is if there was such a thing as an open mind, right? They arrive on top of you. Now you got to ask yourself. Hang on a moment. They're here to do business. Think about this, that one thing. They're there to do business. Now, there's only one law in the universe that governs business, and you first need to know who you're dealing with. Now, do you know these people by name? Anyone?
Only by title, if that.
Or do you even know that? Because there's only one title holder on this planet, and would you ever consider who that might be? Now,
Possibly.
so once they arrive on top of your head and you fell on the ground and they're right there on top of you, right? Do I know you? Why are you here? Has anyone ever heard the judge ask that question? Why are you here?
Why are you here? What do you want to do here? Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Jeez, this call is about how do I open up that brain? Great. So the judge is going, why are you here? Do you think he's doing all the explaining? Do you think he knows what's going on out there? Anyone?
Why would he be asking?
He's asking. So if he's asking, what is he doing? I'm not doing. Why aren't you asking these questions? I'm not. Listen, there's nothing special about me, mate. I only listened to what I only was studying from these masters of the universe, which are the judges here in this country. Are bloody good. They're probably the same as where you guys are, but over here, we live in a very self-possessed nation, and we've got some very, very, very good judges here in this part of the world. There's no doubt about that. And when they ask the questions, what you mean? You want to be deaf to what these masters of questions are actually asking? They're showing you how to live out in the world and what questions to ask that are nuclear. Why don't you start learning from the judge? The judge already did teach you a lot of stuff there, Dominion. Am I to understand? Or, and what did he say? He was talking about understanding. Lots of questions these judges asking. Why are you here? Big, big questions. How did you come? How did you come here, or how did you come to this place? You went off on your own undertaking. Okay, now we can put charges on there. Now it's now proven. So it's very easy to prove charges. That's why it's alleged. But once you go into court, they've got it all there. It just comes out of your mouth. So that's why it's good to sort of learn first from the judges and apply what the judges say out in the world. I'm not interested in anything else other than what the judge says, and then I apply what the centurions or the state troopers ask me, and then I go to the court and I ask these questions back to the police, and what happens in court? It shuts the mouths of man. It seems to work. It shuts the mouths of the police. So I think that's a lot more fun, shutting the mouth of a police when he opens it up. Anyone experience how much fun that is?
We were watching a video of a judge that got pulled over while he was drunk, and the policeman was trying to get him to do a lot of testing, like sobriety testing, and he was doing like nothing close to what he was being asked for. And the policeman said, do it, and the judge looked at him and goes, "What am I not doing?"
There you go. Show me what to do. What am I to do? Yeah. That's funny. That's hilarious. Look, there's a lot of humour in all this too. Don't forget, humour is big in this. If you're a serious kind of a person, then I think you're going to have some problems, because you need to see that life is a fucking stage, and it's set against you. It's everything is set in opposition to completely ram your ass. It's just great. And if you don't like it, tough shit. They're the ones that are going to have the fun. You'll have fun eventually, but you just don't know it yet. So that's why it's so important to know who you're dealing with. I mean, and you boys are always asking, I just want fucking actual examples. Well, examples are happening every single fucking moment of the day. I mean, who's paying attention? All the time. It's like right in front of us. Everything's going on. And the judge, he asks the questions. Why are you here? Do I know you? Right? And then when they're trying to push the paperwork, I'm not joking, they've actually had a search warrant once at where I live. They came there to search the premises, and I'm telling you what, they actually walked away because they didn't have a signed agreement on a piece of paper before the judge. Can you believe that?
Yep.
So they
And they were saying that there was some kind of violation or trigger for something they were there for.
No, it was to do with traffic violations. There was like probably $500,000 worth of traffic violations that haven't been paid.
Amazing.
And then it did go to court, and then eventually it was all wiped out. Can you see what I'm saying?
Because because you never took the paperwork and never took the offer in court either? Is that kind of what you're
Well,
getting at?
in the court, when you're in the court, and this is very, very powerful, and I'll tell you what, it works. Have I done it? Yes, I've certainly done it. And I go in the court, and even if sometimes I would just go, because I needed to learn about the plea, and we'll do a full call one day all about the plea, because it's pretty deep and broad, to really come to the depths and understanding of that. When I say understanding, you're seeing it's like the foundations of it, the engineering of it. So I would sometimes plead guilty. I'd just go guilty. And then I come to the point now, I just go into court, I just go, are you guilty or not guilty? I then just go straight out and go, are you saying I am? I can do that now because it's very hard to do something like that. If there's still knowledge in the head, you'll trip up. And once you trip up, the judge is a master to trip you up. He'll bring in something that'll flip you over. You know what I mean? And he'll test it straight away that your foundations are easily, because you're in possession of knowledge. So he'll trip you up. So I just go, when I do it now, I just go, are you saying I am? And then they do an adjournment. They bring in the next date for the next court. Then they bring in all the troopers to come in as witnesses. So it's great when they do that because they bring in their entourage, right? You know how people think, it's still alleged, but yet you've got the whole community pointing the finger at him like this. He's the man, right? He did this, he did that. So, but yet it's still alleged because they need you to believe what they believe. Anyone hear me?
Yes, believe. Yeah.
They need you to believe what they believe. And once they've got you believing what they believe, it's fucking proven. It's game on. So what I do is the judge talks to the prosecution. The prosecution talk about their banana statements about me or whatever, and then after they've finished, the judge goes, well, what do you want to say about that? And then I go, well, I'd say, well, what's one to say anything about that? Or I'd go into, would one be able to ask a question to the prosecution? Is that, and the judge would go, sure, here's the floor. The actual judge will give you the floor to ask the question. So when the prosecution finishes, I always ask the prosecution, do you agree with that? And then he goes, oh, I certainly do. I certainly do agree with that. And that's when I just go into say, well, is that agreement between you and me signed on a piece of paper before the judge? And then there's the biggest kerfuffle actually happens in court, and the judge goes absolutely nutso. He says, this ain't a contract and blah, 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 blah. They do everything they can to pull the wool over your eyes. And then
So why
they'll
is he
take you
saying
down.
it's not a contract?
Oh, don't worry about what they say. It's what they do, right? They try and get you to say something else. They get you to muddle and fuddle and all sorts of fucking shit. It's unreal. And then the judge kept asking me, and then I said, was there a signed agreement? I repeated it about 4 times. And the judge got, each time was just more and more like, oh my God, this guy ain't going to sway.
He's not going to take it.
Yeah, he's not going to sway. And then guess what? Something bizarre happened. The Sanhedrin, he said to the judge, Your Honour, I don't have any agreement with this man. And it was absolutely unbelievable. And anyway, the outcome was 0-0. Everything came out 0. Can you believe it? That's how it goes. Zero means it's over. It's finished. It's came out with nothing. And who gets out of these? Down here, it's nearly impossible to come out of driving whilst disqualified, driving, when you lost the license and then you keep driving. You know what I mean? It's nearly an impossible thing to come through this. And if I did the apprenticeship through court, going through this and coming out with flying colours, who would believe it? Yeah. And then you can. Is anyone there on the call? Can anyone hear me?
Oh,
Yep.
yes, brother.
Yeah, good. Just every few moments, it gets very quiet. Sometimes I'm talking to myself, I think. But anyway, it's not unusual. So once you come out of court, it's very surreal, because when they basically, it's what they do, not what they say. When you come out of court, you just go, what the hell just happened here? And, a few of my friends, they'd be just going, oh, my goodness, there was no fine, there was no charge, there was no nothing, or no conviction, no nothing. It was very strange. They said, hey, how's this work? How's this? Because everything that's done, it's business. Now, one thing about business, they need from everyone, and business is conducted in two ways to verify possession, right? It's either a signature or it's a verbal out of the mouth. Whatever comes out of the mouth, that verifies agreement with these fucking, what do you call them? Whatever you want to call them, legion, blah blah. Yeah, is any of this making sense or not?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you want to apply it, you need to, first of all, which is probably a good thing. Every time I went out, that's why I love these little devices when they're working. And once I'm back on the show with everything, is the devices are very good to record, interactions with the police and so forth. And if you don't do it, then find these interactions, on YouTube, on TV, you name it, they're everywhere. Interactions are not hidden anywhere. Oh yeah, I mean, I'll just give you a quick example. That fella who talks about never talk to the coppers.
Yeah, the lawyer.
Yeah, that lawyer. Now, did anyone listen to what he was talking about? He's talking about it, I think it's 17 minutes, where I mentioned 17 minutes or 14 minutes, that it's nearly impossible to actually come out of an interview with no admission. It hasn't been done over where you boys are. Right? If I told you it's been done down here, yeah, would you believe it? You need to listen to that video. What's that? What's that?
I said I'd want to believe it, yes.
Well, you need to listen to that lawyer, what he's talking about, because few, if any, it hasn't been done in back in that time to be able to question and bring into neutral. You're bringing everything into neutrality, into zero. You're bringing everything back to zero. And that's why asking the possessive terms are extremely effective. How do you know they're effective? Well, not only has it been in court many times, well, it's even gone to the higher courts here in this country, and they even played everything about this stuff. Because I think that one of my friends said, "Do you know, Danny, they've been or Boon, they've been out they've had a chip on their shoulder, city block wide there with you, and they were after you for a long time. They wanted to find ways of, getting rid of this guy, because you can't have someone like him out here." At the time, that was what was going on, and that's why it was a perfect storm with the chick that I was seeing at the time, and the police and all of that. And there you go. A blink of an eye, whatever, 12 months later, here I am. But, that was the rest time that I needed to fulfill the whole journey. Yeah, all things are perfectly measured. If you know, where there's no fear, you know, there's inner work to be done. It's like a millstone of the soul, the grinding of the spirit of the soul, so to speak. It's an amazing journey to refine the spirit, and you can only refine the spirit. It seems to be the only thing that one can find this path, and it's even on the devil's advocate. Why? Through the law, the courts and that. It's the only place on this planet that reveals the sinful nature of man. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? In the courts, it's the only place that reveals the abomination, the lies, the betrayal, the corruption. It reveals everything in the court. Nothing is hidden. My goodness me. And when you go, how much corruption is going on in court, that's when you see the mirror is how much corruption is in that individual who sees it. Because the one who sees it is the one that's corrupted. Because if a child went to court, what would a child know? A child goes to the judge, so the judge goes to the child, goes, do you think your mummy is guilty or not guilty? Oh, my mummy is Mary. And the judge goes, Mary's your mother, is it? The mother. The child does not know what guilty or not guilty is. You hear what I'm saying?
He'll never speak to it. Why would he speak
No.
to it?
That's right. Is somewhere in between. So why come to court with a full cup, thinking you know something? You see what I'm saying? Let the prosecution, let them try and convince the court of the charges. You'll find that they got nothing if you give them nothing. You hear what I'm saying?
Why help them do their job, right?
Yeah, there you go. And and why chase around like a chicken without a head, running around like a goose, ringing these people up, bringing this agency and that agency. Why am I doing that? You got to ask yourself, why am I talking to these people? Like, do they go ringing people that you talk about? Do they go, if you gave them a list of people to ring, to go and, refer to such and such, do you think that they would ring them up? Anyone?
Doubtfully.
Well, there you go. And why are you doing it? Why is not you, but why is one doing these things?
So
You see what I mean?
question. So yeah, for sure, brother. But question though. Okay, so like, how would one who is curious consider the offer if the offer is full of words that you have no clue what they mean by them? You know what I mean? So maybe I'm just saying maybe a brother would be trying to gain understanding through those calls. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. The best way, if I was to consider the question you're asking, is to, first of all, bring one of those so-called warrants or documents to the table, and there's a wonderful opportunity to go through it in starting to see firsthand what it is. You don't need to ask them what it means. You're actually bringing in the dictionary, and you got the scripture next to it, and you got all with the brothers and sisters on the call. Okay, that's the basis for what we're talking about. Does that make sense?
100%. I've often said the paperwork is really the only point,
Yes.
to look at.
But you don't need to talk to the officials about the paperwork. It's not for you to do that. In the scripture it says bring your brothers and sisters around table and to discuss these things, because what they give you That nobody knows the origin of where these come from. But imagine this is all the property of the Father, and the Father's bringing it here for us to ponder on, to help us come back to the Maker and become whole. Yeah? He's showing us a way to come through. But you've got to go through the eye of the needle. You've got to, it's like going into the furnace. It's the one place people don't want to go into, but that's the one place you need to go. The one that is where you resist is where you're going to be shown the doorway through. Okay? So if you want to understand the meanings of all of these terms, there's only one meaning, and the meaning is basically it's the property of the fathers. Other than that, who's going to interpret all of this? Once you start seeing that all the words are funneled back to the word, it's actually mind-blowing. You go, how is this possible? What kind of world we live in? That's the rude awakening to these boys and girls. It's crazy when you discover the thousands and thousands of words that are out there, I don't know, maybe tens of thousands, that every single word is actually funneled back into the word. And who took that word is now basically, who took that word for their own, is now in possession of the possessor's property. And now you become responsible, like the fucking peaceful inhabitant. That's a term. You've now taken that term for your own self, and now once you've taken it, you've now become you're now in possession of terminology, right? And that's something that the judge taught me, and I learned all of that, and then I referred back to the scripture through the word of the Father, the word of God, whatever. I kind of don't like using the word God because it's, it's just been bastardised over the 10,000 years, however long. So I just I find the word, sometimes I use the word, the word is with God and so forth. But yeah, the word is with the possessor. I kind of use different terms just to sort of help break it up a little bit, because every word's the term. And that's why in this, I'll find you the scripture. There's a one there that says that, so what's the name of the Father? Well, the name of the Father is the Word. So the Word is the name of the Father. The Word, that's the name of the Father. And that's every single word. It's just mind-blowing. What do you mean every word? Yeah, every word that's uttered out of the mouth of the Father, does man breathe? Or, does man live? Yeah? So every single word, every utterance, every sound, in whose hands is the breath of all life? Yeah? And when you start looking at it like that, and you bring every single word into subjection, and that means that you're not taking it for yourself. You're not bringing it into your own and say, oh, I now know what that means. Because once you do, it's the little golem inside you going, mine, 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 and I know something. And it wants to keep, that's why we're so possessed. We just want, it's endless pursuit of knowledge and information. I need to know more, I need to know more. Where does it get people? I need to know more. We end up in a cataclysmic disaster in this world. But if you're reversing it, it may be something else. Does that make a little bit of sense there, Dominion, what you were talking before about that question you asked?
Yeah, I think it does, brother. I think it does. But it leads me to one more question, if I may.
Always.
What so question: does it change? Is it still focused on possession if there is a real damaged party, or even one who's claiming to be a real damaged party? Is the possession still center and focus up front for the focus? I mean, or is it shifted to something else? Or
Well, depends on what you're talking about. Like when I say depends, it's like, well, in a way, we're all, like if you need help, you're making a statement, you're asking for help. But if it's just purely business, are you going to make a claim? That's where people find it gets very difficult and difficult to understand is, I'm going to be making a claim for help. Oh, why would I do that? I'm making a claiming that I need help. Well, sometimes the system can work both ways. It's like a double sword. It's not double sword. It's like a double. If you need to access certain services, right, in the system, use it. It's a natural resource. Nothing wrong with that. Use it. But you need to know how to use it. Like you ask, look, I may need some fund coupons or which is like money or whatever it may be. You make a claim. So what? Who's going to claim? You've made a claim. Does that make sense? Make a claim if you need it, if it's in necessity. Yeah? Anyone follow me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
But
about if
why
someone's
make?
making a claim against you though? Like,
Yeah. Well,
in court.
yeah, go on. Yeah.
If-
Well, then if someone's bringing an allegation, is that what you're talking about?
Possibly now, yes.
Okay. So if there's a complaint, but that's then that's then when you've got to be careful in what comes out of your mouth. For example, Delilah, she put in what do you call it? She put in a registered complaint. Once you register a complaint, it becomes official. That means these complaints need to be investigated, and depends on how bad the complaints are. If it goes up the ladder, I call it mass murder kind of charges or complaints, then they can come and fly into where you live and take you away until they discover, who you are and so forth. But once they take you away, then they take you to the interview room, right, for a cross-examination. They don't just put you in jail before they interview you. They need to interview. You ever seen these shows where they commit murder or something before, after they've done all these assaults and murders and God knows what else? They interview them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. An interview is another word for psych evaluation. All right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, so there's a complaint, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, in this scenario, yes. I'm
Right.
asking if it changes the approach. If it is a
Yeah.
mass murder charge, you know what I mean, or something on that
Yeah,
level. Does it change the approach?
So the approach is basically when the police come and pick you up, or the state troopers, they pick you up and they take you to the station for an interview. That's what we can discuss another time. Is go through the DVDs that they've made for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they made them for you and gave them to you, like without you even
Yeah.
asking?
Yeah. No, they give you a video and an auditory, so they do it all for you.
Amazing.
Yeah, they do everything here for you. And
Amazing. We got to ask for it, and they try to hide it. They make it really
yeah.
hard to get it.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. No,
Yeah,
because
you gotta do it for you here sometimes to get it. Sorry, go ahead, brother.
All right. Okay. Anyway, down here they're pretty much that's what. So you basically go into cross examining the psych evaluator. So the one who's giving you the psych evaluation, they end up having a psych evaluation themselves.
What?
That's what seems to happen.
Can you get Leanne to do it, baby? I'm in the middle of things.
Say that again.
No, I was cooking. I was trying to deliver a message to someone.
Okay.
Apologies, brother.
So, yeah, no. Oh, good. So does that? So when there's a complaint or an allegation, that's when you want to be very, very, very careful not to go into That's how you become a peaceful, if there is such a thing as being at peace, is not in any way giving consent to the officials to transact your ass there. You want to be very careful because they lay in wait for that consent. That's all they wait for is consent. And it comes in through resisting. And that's consent. I don't consent here. That's consent. All right? Consent is given through resistance. So once you resist, then you've given them everything they need
It's almost like
for
they
them
hope
to. What's that?
it's almost like they hope you resist.
Well, yeah, because they go up the ladder. They start getting ribbons, and they start their badges become bigger, and they get more decorated. Their costume becomes more decorated, and they go up the ladder. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's
To me,
amazing.
basically, and this is very important, is when there's a complaint or an allegation made against you. This is an example of influences. Now, the police, in a way, they're like the necromancy. They're like hyenas that feed on the claims that have been made. It's a feeding frenzy. So that's why in this country, especially if there's a girl who cried wolf or boy who cried wolf, which is, I don't know, maybe it's a lot different. Mainly the females in this country, when they cry wolf, the hyenas, they're like a pack of hyenas. They feed on the dead, because a complaint is another word for the dead, which is necromancy, and it's basically, there's like a feeding frenzy. It's where they come out and they enable the individual to keep spewing out this kind of, like with Delilah, they would encourage her to keep finding out more information, or that she could possibly come up with or invent or whatever. So they would plot and plan and set the traps and do whatever they possibly can to find out what they can use against you, the individual. So the system is designed perfectly for the complainant, and once someone verifies that complaint, a very simple verification is, do you know this person?
Thank you.
Once you confirm, no, I don't know her, well, that's denial, and it's game on. Oh, I got it, Christine.
Oh, no, get it.
Oh, you got it, okay. So that's game on. And you just need to say, oh, I don't know this girl or whatever. But when you're in the interview and you're asking, do I know her? Or do I know, am I supposed to know hang on, what did I say? Oh, do I know? Because they said, her name is blah, 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 and she has put in these, statements against you, or statements in about you. And I go, well, do I know her for one to speak of such things? How do you reckon that went down?
I'm eager to hear. How do they respond?
Well, in the scripture, if you're looking in Psalms, it talks about the blameless ones. You're not going into blame. You're not pointing a finger that that you're not going into blame when you're asking these questions. You become the blameless ones. Yeah, in the scripture, it all talks about the blameless ones. The blameless ones are basically the ones who are blaming. They're the possessed creatures who are in the blame, as an example. But the blameless is, you're not blaming the ones who are bringing the allegations before the court. You're not blaming them. because you know this is the work. It's the work that we're doing. It's what we're here for. We're here to do the work, and the work is that the allegation. Why it's so difficult to deal with these allegations is because we know that this property is not our property, and we know that anything we say is going to it's going to banana us. We're going to get fucked, and that's why, that's why it's very important when there's an allegation that, you just be very careful what comes out of their mouth. The main questions are, do I know you for one to speak of such things? And that's what I said. I didn't actually say, do I know her? I'll rephrase that if I may, because I'm speaking to the individual in front of me, the official, and he goes, do you know such and such? Thank you for. Now I'm thinking. I vagued out for a second. So you may need to rephrase what I said before. I actually said, do I know you for one to speak of such things? So I'm not verifying that I'm not verifying that I know such and such, and I'm not denying that I know such and such. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're not blaming her or you or them.
Exactly. That's exactly right, and that's how you want to conduct yourself. That's an example of how to conduct proper way of how to be within amongst one another, and when you're speaking to unknown forces, this is how you conduct proper way of being at peace. Yeah, if that's what one wants to give examples of, that if I said that would be a great example how to deal with these allegations that are before you.